Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Season 12, Episode 20. But before we get started, let me pour up a glass of my new favorite wine from IYLIA Wine Collection, which is a Black woman-owned wine company, by the way. So we're gonna pour a little something. Cheers, y'all. So good. And IYLIA is so sweet that they're giving all my subscribers 20% off. And if you go on their website right now, make sure to use my discount code BrookeAshley20 at checkout and get yourself some delicious wine. And all the information, the link to their website and the discount code is down below in the description box. Now, let's jump right on into it because we don't have a minute to spare and I have so much to say, especially that ending, okay? So we start off this episode with Dorit at home and she's FaceTiming Kyle. Remember that Kyle is in Georgia filming the new Halloween movie with Jamie Lee Curtis. So Dorit's asking Kyle how she's doing. Kyle's like, I'm good. We're just here on set working. And then Dorit launches into the drama that occurred at Crystal's birthday party. Now, I just think it's so funny because Dorit is so quick to bring up the bad news. She didn't even wait. So she's like, we were having a good time, and then all of a sudden, the night took a turn because Rinna left abruptly. So then she goes on to say that Erika told them that Rinna was upset by the way Kathy had acted in Aspen, and that's why she left Crystal's party early. So Kyle says that Kathy's anger was directed at her, and she's confused as to why, because she did nothing wrong. Now, Kyle, let's pause for a minute, because what we won't do is lie and pretend like you don't know why your sister was angry. Kathy was angry at the lack of support that y'all gave her regarding her tequila brand. You guys promote all your brands, all your businesses all the time. We hear about Rinna Beauty 24/7. We hear about Erika with her new hairline. You're always pumping up Mauricio and the agency and all your movies. The least you could do was promote your sister. A girls' weekend in Aspen, that was a perfect opportunity to have Kathy's tequila front and center. I would have had everybody take shots of her tequila. When we got to Kimo Sabe, I would have called the store up beforehand and said, hey, can you make sure that the only tequila that's served is Kathy's? That's what I would have done. I would have been in full support of my sister's endeavors. And for Kyle to pretend and say, oh, I don't know why she was mad at me. I didn't do anything wrong. I mean, Kyle, really? It wasn't right to have your friend sit there and order a rival's tequila in front of your sister. That wasn't cool. And before anybody gets on me talking about, well, you can't force people to drink a certain tequila, while that might be so, if my sister has a tequila line and we're away on a girls' trip that I hosted, we are only gonna be drinking my sister's tequila, period, point blank. If you want to go get Casamigos or Don Julio, then do that on your own time. One thing about me, I'm going to support you. If I love you, if I like you, if we're friends, family, I got you. And I would not allow anybody to play in your face like that. So Dorit tries to offer some words of comfort, and she says that sometimes it's easier to pick on family members. And then she adds that they've been through a lot worse and they got through that. And I was like, Dorit, that's nice of you to say that, but let's be real here. Kim, Kyle, and Kathy have some major issues. Their issues stem from childhood, starting with their mother, Big Kathy. So to say, well, you guys have been through worse and sometimes it's easier to pick on a family member, it's a bit more complicated than that. So we see Kyle in her confessional and she says that on the final day in Aspen, as they were on their way to the airport, Rinna was telling Kyle that Kathy was saying these really awful things about her. and she said that it was so bad that Rinna would not tell her what was said. And then Kyle adds that she's not even sure if she wants to know what exactly Kathy said about her. And then she adds that she's afraid that they might not ever be able to repair the damage. Like I said a few minutes ago, their issues run deep. And I think that Kyle, Kathy, and Kim need to go see a therapist or go to some family counseling because something is severely wrong. And them not speaking for long periods of time. I mean, Kathy and Kyle did not speak for a decade. Kim and Kyle are always going at it. And I feel like if they're not going to get therapy, then maybe it might be time for all of them to just walk away and say, you know what? Let me just love you from a distance because it just might not be in the cards for us to be close. I don't think that any relationship should have a bunch of strife or confusion or chaos. I just don't. I'm here for things being easy breezy, loving, fun. Yes, we can have an argument here and there, but it shouldn't be this big blowout where we're not speaking for years at a time. Their dynamic just isn't healthy. Now, this next scene with Erika at home doing virtual therapy, I was so over it. This scene was way too long. I don't care. I don't have any sympathy, any empathy. I feel nothing. When it comes to Erika Jayne and her behavior and seeing her talk about how she's grieving the loss of her husband and she was sitting up there trying to force those tears out, I said, girl, please. And you saw her squeezing those eyes real tight trying to get a tear to fall out. And honestly, all this scene gave was damage control for all the nasty things that she has said when they were in Aspen, talking about she doesn't care about any of the victims, she only cares about herself. So I wasn't buying all this. It just seemed like a cheap attempt to garner sympathy. Erika going on to say that she had never met a man like Tom before. He was loving and charismatic and so much fun, but he also had a very evil side to him as well. So we see the flashbacks of him telling her to shut up and be quiet. And then she goes on to say that he was one mean man at times. But I said, well, girl, he wasn't that bad because you stuck it out for 23 years. So, I mean, how evil was he? Because I know that me personally, if I felt like the man that I was with was mean and evil, telling me to shut up, I would have been like, shout out to everybody, I have fun. And I feel like this doctor that Erika was talking to was trying to also garner sympathy for Erika as well, because she was talking about, you know, Erika, you lost your husband and your financial security in one fell swoop. And I was like, at the end of the day, Erika is not a victim. She is on a popular reality show on Bravo making a good coin. Making high six figures. She still drives a brand new Range Rover. She's living in a beautiful home. While it might not be as big as her old home was, it's still a pretty house. She lives in West Hollywood, so nobody's crying for her. So then you have Erika saying that, you know, I'm gonna say something that's not popular, but I was harmed too. And if y'all could have seen how hard I rolled my eyes, I said, it's like this woman does not get it. If you feel that way, Erika, keep your mouth shut. Why say that? You already know that the public perception of you is not a positive one. And you still insist on making yourself a victim. And then Erika adds that she's afraid of becoming hateful and mean, something that she does not want to be. I was like, girl, it's too late for all that. You've been hateful since you got on this show. I never liked Erika, ever. There was always something about her personality that I could not get with. And then she really showed her ass all of last season and this season. Once again, all this pathetic scene was damage control, and we can jump right on to the next one. Now, I was a bit annoyed that Erika had 2 back-to-back scenes. I was like, really? I have to see her again? So we see Erika at this cool restaurant in Beverly Hills, and she's having a pop-up store event for her Pretty Mess hairline. Now, once again, that is still privilege when you are on the hook with all these charges with you and your soon-to-be ex-husband, but yet you still have a hairline coming out. And I'm really curious to know who is going to be supporting and buying her hair. So anyhow, we see that some press from People magazine are at this pop-up shop, and they're already asking Erika about what went down in Aspen, because apparently the details of Kathy's meltdown got out. Now, for Erika to pretend like she doesn't know how the news got out, I was like, really, Erika? Do you think that we're stupid? We all know that you and Rinna called People magazine, Us Weekly, In Touch Weekly, Star, and all the other tabloids to reveal what happened in Aspen. I think that's what also gets me so angry, because a lot of these women think that they're smarter than the viewers. And they think that we're going to buy whatever they're selling. And that's just not the case. We're not idiots. We can see right through it. You and Rinna most likely leaked all these details to the press because you want to tarnish Kathy's reputation and her name, and you want her to look bad. So Erika goes on to say that people would love to hear this juicy story of Kathy screaming in Kyle's face and her cursing the manager of the Caribou Club out, and how she was acting like an asshole to the coat check people. She goes on to add that people saw it. Now, while I don't doubt that there were bystanders who did see what happened, I still don't believe that her outburst is as bad as Erika and Rinna are making it out to be. And Erika and Rinna are the last people to discuss or dissect anybody's behavior. So we see all the ladies start arriving. Rinna shows up, then Cherie. Then we see Sutton arrive. I was like, Sutton, why are you here? And when Sutton said, I just want Erika to be successful, and I want to let her know that I support her, and I just want her to rebuild and rise above this. So Erika says that she's happy that Sutton is there to support her. She gives Sutton a big hug. And then we see that Erika invited Sutton when they were in Aspen. I was like, Sutton, I need you to come on my show. I do. I need to know firsthand, why do you feel this need to befriend somebody who has disrespected you time and time again? It makes no sense. It is giving low self-esteem. And that's no shade. But when you truly love yourself, you're not putting up with this kind of BS. This woman has made you cry on several occasions. She's humiliated you in front of the group. She's called you the C word multiple times. I mean, she has gone out of her way to make your life hell. So to see you support her, I just don't get it. I'll never understand that mindset. It's cool if you like me, that's great. But if you don't like me, that's fine too. Because it's not stopping anything over here. The check is still clearing.
Bling, bling, bling. Bitches is mad.
Because folks are funny. They can love you one day and then hate you the next day. And there's no way that I would allow somebody who has disrespected me multiple times to ever be in my space again. Erika would have gotten my ass to kiss. I would not have been at this event. That would not have happened. And I know some of y'all were saying, well, I think that Sutton is just trying to make peace because it is tough to argue with somebody, especially while filming. And I'm thinking, it's not that hard. I would have no issue ignoring Erika. We could film for another 3 months and I would be paying her dust. You don't get to disrespect me in the worst of ways, offer up a half-assed apology 11 months later, and then think that it's supposed to be good. Like, that's not how this works. I could at least see if Erika really owned up and said, you know what, Sutton, you're right. I am so sorry. I had no right to talk to you like that. Then maybe, that's a strong maybe. But Erika gave very much, I'm only apologizing because of the backlash that I've received from the fans, and it's gonna make me look a bit better. That's all that weak apology on the plane that she gave to Sutton last week gave to me. I didn't buy it. And I think that, Sutton, you're setting yourself up for failure yet again. So now we see Crystal, Dorit, and Diana arrive. They all start trying on the hair pieces, and then we see Erika and Diana off to the side and they're talking. Now, I don't even know where this conversation was going, but all of a sudden, Diana's phone starts ringing and it's Elton John FaceTiming her. Personally, I feel like it was staged. I feel like she probably texted Elton and said, you know what, can you just do me a favor and FaceTime me to give me some sort of storyline? But Elton John is thanking Diana for coming on board for the Oscars. And then we learned that when Diana lived in London, she lived across from this high-end china shop. And so she would go in there, buy some pieces. Now, Diana, I have to call you out because didn't you say that you didn't shop in stores? So now you were shopping at a china shop? Make it make sense, sis. Just anything to sound pretentious. But anyhow, she says that one day when she was in this china shop, that Elton John and his husband David were in there too, and she had on some flip-flops, she looked crazy, and this big fur coat. And they were both like, oh my gosh, who is that? We want to get to know her. So ever since then, she became really close with Elton John and his husband. Now, while Elton John is an icon, I didn't care about this story. I was like, okay, Diana, and you're telling us this why? Diana is just so unlikable, and it's just so sad. I mean, the fact that she has been a complete flop, and I loved how this was the only scene that she was in during this episode. I said, won't he do it?
Thank you, God. Thank you. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you.
If we're being honest, Diana really doesn't get that much camera time. Like, we only see her in group settings. And that shows you right there that she's a flop and that Bravo doesn't care about her day-to-day life. So while the pop-up shop party is going on, we see Dorit and Rinna at the bar. And it was so funny because Lisa didn't know that the cameras caught her, but she was telling Dorit how she had rented her Tom Ford denim suit. And while the suit was gorgeous, I can't lie, I was like, now, girl, you know that you're mic'd up, right? We heard everything. And I'm not surprised that Rinna rents a few pieces because I've heard some things that her and Harry's money isn't that long. But I digress. So anyhow, they start discussing Crystal's birthday party, of course. And Rinna's like, look, I just had to leave early. I didn't feel right. Like, I just couldn't stay there with Kathy being there. And it's like, Rinna, can you stop? You left that party early because you wanted to stir up some drama and you wanted a moment. That's all that was. Because I know damn well that you were not that shook by Kathy being there. You've been in plenty of scenarios with people that you don't like. And that was some very bad acting that you displayed in last week's episode too. I had secondhand embarrassment. All that, I'm just so afraid, I can't do this, Kathy's there, I have to leave early. Like, this is not a soap opera, sis. You look stupid. I see why you haven't gotten a real acting job in quite some time. The acting needs some work. So here goes Dorit looking for a moment, and she's like, well, actually, Kathy called me the other day, and she let me know that she remembers everything that happened, and she regrets it. And honestly, it's really between her and Kyle. But she was very apologetic, and she kept stressing how she was just so sorry. So now Rinna says that Kathy was low-key sending out a thinly veiled threat to her, and she does not take kindly to threats. We have seen Rinna gaslight, threaten, straight up lie on people. So for her to act like she's this victim and Kathy threatened her, I was like, are you serious right now? I was too through. I was just so angry because, Rinna, we have seen your behavior for the past 8 years on this show. And you have shown your ass in each and every season. And can we talk about this simple pattern that Rinna always does? Rinna will always throw out her two favorite buzzwords, gaslighting and threaten. She does it all the time. So now Dorit says that she cares about Kathy, and she told Kathy on the phone that the worst thing you can do is run from this and not face it. Now, while I don't see it for Dorit, I do agree with her on that. it's always better to just address the situation head on, because if you allow Rinna and Erika to run with the narrative that you were crazy, it's going to be worse. Because people like Rinna and Erika, they are two soulless individuals, and they will do anything to make sure that Kathy goes down. Oh, and one more thing. I meant to say this in last week's recap, and thank you guys for bringing it up in my comments last week. But how come we didn't hear any mention from Rinna about Kathy allegedly using the N-word and the F slur? So that right there shows me that Rinna and Erika are lying and blowing this whole thing out of proportion to make Kathy look bad. And I don't believe for 1 minute that if Kathy was saying all this crazy stuff about Bravo and NBC Universal and this, that, and the third, that Rinna would not have her phone out recording Kathy. We know how Lisa Rinna gets down. So once again, I think that Rinna is taking full liberty to lie, exaggerate, stretch the truth to make Kathy look bad. So now Dorit brings up how Kathy went on Instagram Live. And shout out to my friend Donald. He goes by Prima Donald on Instagram. But I did the Instagram Live with him, mixing with Manny, and Ashley Darby last year. And it was just amazing. And thank you again, Donald. So when I saw Donald on TV, he was up there with Kathy Hilton. I said, all right. And I also met Donald this year at the Real Housewives of Dubai screening event that I went to in June. So it was really cool to see him up there. So Rinna says, yeah, I saw her on that Instagram Live. Does she know that she lies? She's a liar. She just lies and lies and lies. And I said, Rinna, that's you. You're the liar on this cast. You lie on everybody. I am going to start a petition because I need Camille, Kim, and Denise back on my screens. I do. Because I can't sit here and listen to Rinna any longer. So Rinna adds that Kathy said that she was in the house by herself on Instagram Live, and how that was a lie because she was in the house with her. And I was like, Rinna, you were only in that house by yourself with Kathy because you didn't want any witnesses, and you were probably baiting Kathy to say something nasty so that you could run back and tell the group and the blogs that Kathy had a quote-unquote meltdown. Like, again, we see right through you and all these crazy antics. And that's another thing that really blows me, because Rinna thinks that we're dumb. We know that you did not have pure intentions going back to the house with Kathy. Because even if Kathy wasn't screaming or in a bad mood, we all know that Rinna would have lied and said that she was. Kathy was better off staying at the club with the rest of them and just leaving with everybody else. So now Dorit and Rinna walk over to join the rest of the women. And of course, they bring up all the mess that went down with Kathy while they were in Aspen. So Dorit says to Crystal, the last time I saw Rinna was at your beautiful birthday party. And Lisa left abruptly. So now Lisa interjects and she says, yeah, I just had to leave. I couldn't stay. And then she offers up a weak apology. And it's like, you weren't sorry. You did that to have a moment. And the moment fell flat, sis, because none of us were entertained and we didn't care. I was glad you were finally off my screen when you did leave her party. If I were Crystal, I would have cursed you out for that. Because the fact that you were going to leave my party without even saying goodbye to me, you don't do certain things. When you go to somebody's house, you greet them and you make sure to say goodbye to them before you leave. You don't just cut out like that. Like, who raised you? And what's even more insulting is the fact that the biggest shit stirrer in this group is trying to act like she's just so fragile that she can't take a little confrontation. She's just that pressed by Kathy being in the same room as her. So now the whole thing gets brought up about how Kathy was pissed at the club because she asked the DJ to play Billie Jean and the DJ didn't play it. So now Rinna says that somebody at the Caribou Club told Kathy to go back to LA. And then I think it was either Dorit or Erika who mentions that Diana paid one of the waiters at the club $200. So Diana says that Kathy was born into this game and she should know how to play the game. So now Erika says, well, actually, no, she married into it just like all of us. Now, that reeked of jealousy to me, and Erika, you're wrong. Kim, Kathy, and Kyle did grow up in Beverly Hills. They grew up with a bit of money. There was some fame attached to them due to Kim Richards carrying the family on her back, with her being a child star. And Kathy has mentioned several times that they were good friends with the Jacksons. Michael and LaToya were some of her dearest friends. So Erika, please speak for yourself, because for you, you're new to it, Kathy's true to it, so don't get it twisted. So now Sheree interjects, and you could tell that Sheree was so happy to have some camera time, because if we're being completely honest, Sheree has brought nothing. Talk about a huge disappointment. I expected so much more. Bravo, don't even think about making her full-time. Absolutely not. So Sheree jumps in saying that people don't disrespect Kathy Hilton that way, and how when she was going to Kemosabe in Aspen, she saw Kathy outside on the phone and she was pissed. So here goes Rinna putting on another poor performance. She's like, what? She was angry at the hat shop? Oh my gosh, that explains so much. So me ordering the Kardashian Jenner tequila set her off. You pulled that stunt at Kemosabe on purpose. You were being hateful, you're being jealous and spiteful, and you purposely ordered that 818 tequila to spite Kathy, and you know it. So for you to act like, oh my gosh, so that's why she was angry? That set her off? I had no idea? Like, stop. So now Rinna really jumps out the window by saying that Kathy is so jealous of the Kardashians. Now let's stop right here and do a quick breakdown, shall we? The Hiltons paved the way for the Kardashians. And Rinna, let's not forget how all last season, your storyline was the fact that your daughter was with Scott Disick. You were so happy that you might have a foot in with the Kardashians. So anyhow, the ladies start asking Rinna, what exactly was Kathy saying about Kyle? So Rinna's like, you know what? I can't say anything. You know, I can't do it. I just can't. I can't go any further. But it was really bad. It was just so bad. You know, she was talking about everybody. So we see Rinna in her confessional saying that Kathy was talking about Sutton and Crystal, saying, why are they here? They should both be fired. So now Dorit says, but Kathy told me that she didn't say anything about me. So we learned from Rinna that Kathy did say stuff about Dorit. She allegedly called Dorit a stupid, useless idiot. Now, could I see Kathy calling Dorit a stupid, useless idiot? I could see it. I don't think that Kathy really cares too much for Dorit. Dorit is a bit irritating, doesn't really add too much in conversations. She talks way too much, very long-winded, never gets to the point. So I could see Kathy saying something of the sort about Dorit. Now Rinna adds that Kathy's whole attitude was, why do I have to be around you peons? I said, Rinna, that's probably how you feel about some of these women in this group. And you're now projecting your feelings onto Kathy. So now Rinna twists the knife even more and says that she and Garcelle came out the best in this situation. Now I said, I know Kathy is not stupid. She knew better than to say anything about Garcelle. Because had she said anything about Garcelle, Rinna would have twisted everything that she said. And she definitely would have played into race to have Kathy looking really bad and get her fired off of this show. So now Rinna points out that Kathy's not even here at Erika's event, and then she says that she has sent Kathy blessings and prayers through her heart, and she really hopes that Kathy gets some help. Rinna is the type of person to pray for you, and the prayer won't even reach the ceiling. God is not hearing any of Rinna's prayers, believe that.
No.
And I loved when Sutton said in her confessional, does Rinna even pray? I said, Sutton, you know that Satan doesn't pray, so why would you even ask that? So now we get to the scene that we have all been waiting for, the showdown between Kathy and Kyle. So you can tell that Kyle's nervous. She's making tea for both her and her sister. Kathy arrives. Kathy had me screaming because she was visibly nervous as well. She plucked one of the flowers from Kyle's garden to give to Kyle. And I was thinking, Kathy, you have more than enough money and a big staff where you could have sent somebody to buy some flowers for your sister. Like, girl, stop being cheap. So anyhow, Kyle opens the door. Kathy's talking about she's here for a Ponderosa. And every time I hear the word Ponderosa, I remember, I think it was like an earlier season of Basketball Wives. I think that Jackie Christie said that she was there for a Ponderosa, something like that. So anyhow, it's super tense between Kyle and Kathy. And Kyle says that this is her first time seeing her sister since Aspen. So Kyle and Kathy finally sit down to talk. And Kyle is complimenting Kathy's bracelets. And so Kathy says, oh, you like them? You can have them. And it was clear that Kathy is trying to do anything so that Kyle will be less angry at her. So Kathy says, look, I'm here to apologize to you over what I said in Aspen. Kyle says thank you, and then Kathy goes on to say that she was venting and ranting about her feelings, but she had no idea that it would ever get back to her. Now, here's the thing about this. When it comes to talking about people or you're venting, even if you do have every right and you're justified in doing it, you always have to make sure that you are able to stand 10 toes down in what you said. So Kathy, just be mindful that if you do want to bitch and whine and moan and vent and rant about a friend, a family member, make sure that you're prepared for when it gets back to that person to stand 10 toes down. Like, yeah, I said it. Yeah, I said it. I don't take it back either. Because that's me. I'm very much like, yeah, I did say it because you pissed me off and I said it. Yup, I said that and I said more. So Kathy continues on by saying that Kyle picking at her about how she was dressed down the whole weekend, that made her feel bad and feel very insecure. Even Kyle was annoyed. She was like, really, Kathy? Why do I have to apologize to you about that? And let's not forget that when it comes to practical jokes, you're the biggest practical joker out there. Like, you always take a joke too far. But anyhow, Kyle says that Kathy is not in the position to talk about that and how she thinks that her sister is reaching and wasn't even offended by that. Now, I do think that Kathy was offended. I know that I'd be offended if somebody kept pointing out the whole weekend in front of our friends that the looks weren't up to par. So Kyle says, look, that entire night you were in a mood, you were screaming at me in front of everybody, and that's not your first time doing that, but it was your first time screaming at me in front of other people. So Kyle continues on by saying that she was really hurt by it, and then Kyle wants to know why was she saying all this stuff about her when she got back to the house. So Kathy says, look, I was overtired, I was anxious, I was annoyed, and I had 2 glasses of wine, the altitude got to me. Pretty much, she's just making excuses for why she said what she said. So Kathy apologizes again, and Kyle says that she appreciates it. And then Kyle says, you know, I just feel like I have never gotten the support from either one of my sisters, and it hurts me so bad. And when you say things like this about me, I feel like you hate me. Now, we all know the reason why Kathy and Kyle fell out and didn't speak for a decade, because of what Mauricio did to Rick. Mauricio was working for Rick Hilton for some time. Mauricio allegedly felt slighted when Rick Hilton did not make him a partner. And so because of that, he left and started the agency. But there was an alleged gentleman's agreement. It was a handshake that they would not go after each other's clients. Well, the story goes that Mauricio went behind Rick's back and reached out to a lot of Rick's clients. And that's why there was a lot of bad blood for all those years. I do think that there is lingering resentment on Kathy's side. And I also feel like with their upbringing, I don't think that they were in an environment to really cultivate a true sisterly relationship. Remember that there is a 10-year age gap between Kathy and Kyle. Kathy got married to Rick when she was 19. So that means that Kyle was only 9. So they didn't spend that much time together. Kathy becomes a mom at 21, 22. Kyle's an aunt at 12 or 13. So there wasn't really much time for them to hang out and spend time. You know, just the whole dynamic. It seems like Big Kathy, the ultimate stage mom, she told them that she wanted them to marry rich. And I think there probably was favoritism towards Kathy because she had married into a dynasty. But I think that there's always been this dynamic where they're probably competing for their mom's love. And I think because of that, that's why they have all these issues now. And it's a lot of insecurity and jealousy and animosity. And because of that, they need to go see a therapist. So at this point, Kyle is sobbing. And she's like, how could you say those things about me, Kathy? So Kathy's like, Kyle, like, please. So Kathy says that they never get a chance to spend time together. And Kyle's like, Kathy, stop it. I am working my ass off, okay? Like between juggling my kids, my husband, working, I'm trying to balance it all. So Kathy says, I get that, but you still need to make time for your family. So now Kyle says that if somebody hurts her, she has to keep them at arm's length to protect herself, even blood. So now Kathy says, direct communication between you and I would be great. And I feel like it's impossible to get you by phone. And every time I call you, I feel like I'm being a pest. So Kyle says, you want to know why it's hard for you to reach me by phone? Because when you call me, you never ask me how I'm doing or how work's going. It's always about you, how you're pissed off, and you're always calling to rant about how you're pissed off about something, and nobody wants to hear that 24/7. Now, it's a sad day when I'm agreeing with Kyle, but I get it. Nobody wants to call anybody where every time you talk, it's always bad news. It's always a sob story. Nobody wants to hear it. It does get very tiring. And I think that all 3 of the sisters suffer from being self-centered. And I think that with Kathy especially, being married to a very high-profile man from a high-profile family, her daughters being very famous, I think that Kathy is used to things being all about her and her family. And it's hard for her to think about anybody besides herself. So now Kathy says, look, Kyle, I want you to know that I am proud of you. I love you. You're talented. You're thoughtful. You're a great wife, a great mom, a great friend, a great daughter. And mom would be very proud of you if she were still here today. So Kathy reaches out for a hug. Kyle goes over to hug her. And when I tell you that Kyle was sobbing, I mean, you could tell that she really does look up to her sister. And hearing Kathy say that definitely filled a void. So Kyle says that hearing Kathy say those kind things to her is great, but it also feels like a contradiction because of all the hateful things that were said about her when they were in Aspen. So you have Kyle asking Kathy if she's spoken to the other women. So Kathy says that she talked to everybody except for Erika since Erika wasn't there. And then she says that she called Rinna, but she couldn't reach Rinna. So now Kyle says, well, Rinna's actually coming over shortly, so if you want to stick around to talk to her face to face, you're more than welcome to do that. Now, if I were Kathy, I would have already had my guard up once I heard that Rinna was coming, because you already know that Rinna is going to twist whatever you say and try to gaslight the hell out of you. But may I just say that this entire scene was a scene for the books. That was real. There was nothing staged about this conversation between Kathy and Kyle. That was pure, raw emotion. We got a little more insight on their whole relationship. Kathy was nervous. She was anxious. We're usually used to seeing her in control. She's usually just, being silly, being funny, playing the ditz. But this time, she was unable to do so because Kyle was not having it. So now we flip to a short scene with Sutton at home, and she has the fine china out, the Dom Perignon, and Popeye's chicken and biscuits. So we see that Erika is coming over, and I was like, Sutton, it's bad enough that you're trying to make peace with Erika, but to have her in your home, there is no way that a woman who has disrespected me repeatedly would be inside my home. It's not happening. The most I could do is maybe meet you at a restaurant or the park, but we would not be sitting in my home breaking bread. So Erika's over at Sutton's house. She loves the fine china with the Popeye's chicken. She's saying that her and Sutton used to be cool. They used to get along, but then somewhere down the road, things flipped. And I was like, things flipped because of you. You were the one who ruined your friendship with Sutton. You were the one who called her a see you next Tuesday, all because she expressed that she had a few questions. And it's also really funny that you decided to flip on the one person who actually offered you money to make sure that you had money to pay your bills and the legal fees. So they're sitting down eating their Popeyes, and the Popeyes did look good. I love those fries. I love the mac and cheese and mashed potatoes too. But anyhow, they're talking about why things went left between them. Erika says that the V word, which we know stands for victims, is her trigger word because it implies that she's done something. Again, I don't understand Erika's logic. Just because we acknowledge the victims doesn't mean that we're assuming that you had something to do with it. All we're asking is for you to just say, I'm so sorry that my husband swindled all these people. They didn't deserve that, and I hope that they're made whole. A nice statement like that would suffice, but you're just determined to not show anybody any compassion. So Sutton says, look, all I want to hear from you is just a tinge of compassion and empathy in your voice. That's it. So Erika says, well, I want some compassion too. And I said, you know what, Sutton, right here, I would have ended the conversation. So now Sutton says that she appreciates their ability to move past last year's problems. And then she adds that her and Erika do like each other, just in a very dysfunctional way. And I said, Sutton, you sound very foolish right now because Erika will turn on you yet again. Also, there's no way I'm moving past any problems when the person has repeatedly called me out my name multiple times in front of the group. The most I would have for you is I don't curse you out every time I see you. I would not be speaking to Erika. So now we flip back to the last scene with Kyle, Kathy, and Rinna at Kyle's house. So you already know it's about to be some mess. And I was so annoyed because Kathy was trying to be funny and just lighten the mood. So when Rinna came over, she was like, hey, I'm just here to have a friendly ponderosa. And so Rinna was like, I don't know what that means, but okay. And it's like, Rinna, just shut up. You know what she meant. You know that Kathy is trying to lighten the mood and just make a joke about things. You know what she was trying to say. Just anything to be an asshole. So Kathy says, look, Rinna, me and Kyle have talked about Aspen. I apologize to her, and I want to apologize to you for unleashing on you and just ranting. Then she adds that Rinna's in a very sensitive spot since losing her mom, and she wasn't trying to put her in a bad spot by ranting about Kyle. So she apologizes to Rinna again for her behavior, and then she adds that she never should have said what she said. So of course Rinna cannot accept the apology, and she says, you know, Kathy, I was just so shook. I've never seen anything like that. Now, girl, let's rewind the tapes. You've never seen anything like that? So when you had your crazy outburst at Dorit's charity dinner, that was okay? When Erika went off at Kathy Hilton's house to Sutton, that was fine too? When Erika went off on that rant when you guys were in Aspen saying that she doesn't care about the victims, that was fine? That was very alarming and very erratic behavior. So now all of a sudden what Kathy did and said, that's the worst thing that's ever happened. And let's not forget your infamous outburst when you guys were in Amsterdam and you threw that wine glass at Kim Richards. And then you tried to lunge for her throat. You wanted to choke her out. That was pure insanity. And what if that glass had cut Kim up? Every time Rinna does this, I'm always like, Rinna, do you hear yourself? Like, what the F are you saying right now? You have run so many women off this show with your disgusting behavior, and for you to try to call out Kathy is comical. So now Rinna wants to play psychologist, and she says, you really have to think about what happened. Like, what triggered you? And at this point, if I were Kathy, I would have gotten up and left, because what you won't do is sit there and psychoanalyze me after I've already given you a real heartfelt apology. I'm confused as to how Rinna is trying to be the judge, jury, and executioner when she is the queen of very vile behavior herself. And I wish that Kathy was more confrontational and checked her like, Rinna, we're not gonna do this. You're the last person to talk about me and what I did. So Rinna has the audacity to twist her fake lips and say that she thinks Kathy Hilton needs some help. Well, if Kathy needs help, then you need help as well. And I'd suggest therapy 7 days a week, because something is severely wrong. So Kathy says, look, I was just frustrated. It was a lot to process in only 3 days. And now Rinna says, is this your way of trying to shut me up? And Kathy's like, girl, no, what are you talking about? So now Kathy checks Rinna and she says, look, Rinna, you can be very unkind too. So Rinna says, look, it's not about me, it's about you. Then she adds that she was in the same position 8 years ago, just with a different sister. But Rinna, it did not have to be that way. You inserted yourself. You lied on Kim and said that she was near death. Kim had every right to get on you because you were dead ass wrong. And I believe that Rinna is jealous and she wants to mess up Kyle, Kim, and Kathy's relationship. I don't think she wants to see them be close. I think she wants to see them divided. I think she'd rather have it where Kyle is close to her, Erika, and Dorit, but not close with her sisters. So now Kathy starts sobbing at this point, and she's like, look, I'm going through some stuff myself. I have a good friend who is dying of terminal cancer, and I'm just a nervous wreck right now. I'm scared, I'm sad, and everybody knows me. Never in 30 years have I ever had an outburst like this. You want to sit up here and look at me like I'm this big old problem, but I'm not. Then she adds that Rinna needs to have some compassion. And in this moment when Kathy started crying, I really felt sorry for her. You could tell that she really does regret whatever she did and said when they were in Aspen. And she was just so angry at somebody who has been awful to a lot of people, including one of their sisters, has the nerve to now question her. And did you guys see that smirk on Rinna's face when Kathy was sobbing? She was definitely getting a kick out of seeing Kathy being so vulnerable and just being really sad. And of course, Rinna's being nasty, talking about, well, Kathy, you know, I'm sorry to hear that, but you're not gonna get away with this. And even though you're crying, you still did what you did. So Rinna throws out her favorite word and says that Kathy will not gaslight her. I was like, oh my gosh, shut up. Nobody is gaslighting you. It's the opposite. You're always gaslighting somebody else. So now Rinna is asking Kathy if Kathy even remembers what happened. She goes on to say that she locked herself in the bedroom because she was so afraid of Kathy's meltdown. Then she adds that Kathy had a psychotic break. Did you see the way Kathy was looking at Rinna? She wanted to curse Rinna out. And then when Kathy said, I can't imagine anybody scaring Lisa Rinna, especially when she got physical with my sister. I said, Kathy, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, please. Rinna knows that she's exaggerating just to make Kathy look bad. I mean, this is a real effort. Like, she is pulling out all the stops to make sure that Kathy's reputation is ruined. To say that you locked yourself in the room, Really? For what? So Rinna keeps baiting Kathy and she's like, you are just so angry. And to do this to your beautiful sister. So Kathy's being super mature and diplomatic and she says, again, Rinna, I'm sorry. I want to apologize to you for my behavior. And again, I regret everything. So here's where I almost threw the remote at the TV. I was so pissed. Rinna does not accept the apology. She starts asking Kathy, where does all this hatred come from? And why does Kathy have a black heart? So Kathy says, you know what? That's a wrap for me. I'm done. I will see you all another time, but I will not continue this conversation. And she gets up and leaves.
Oh! Shout out to everybody. I had fun.
I gotta be good.
I was clapping so hard. I said, Kathy, thank God. Honestly, you stayed in the conversation a bit too long for my taste, but I was glad that you said, you know what, we're not getting anywhere, so let me remove myself before I say something else. Rinna, I have no words. You need to be off this show. A disgusting human being. For you of all people. You act like the devil himself, but yet you want to say that somebody else has a black heart. You accused a woman of lying about having Lyme disease. You ran off several cast members. You've cursed Sutton out several times. You were nasty to Garcelle all last season. Turned on your friend of 25 years. But now you want to say that somebody else has a black heart. Make it make sense. Where's Kim Richards when you need her? Because I can bet money that you would not have this much mouth with Kim. Kim got you together swiftly. And Kyle, while you might have your issues with Kathy, I was surprised that you didn't stick up for her and be like, okay, Rinna, that's a bit too much now. Don't say that my sister has a black heart and is hateful. Like, yes, we're going at it. You know, we're not getting along right now, but she did apologize. So let's stop. Let's leave it right there. But it shows you that Kyle does not stick up for her sisters. She never has their back, and then she wants to wonder why they're upset with her. So we end this episode with Kathy leaving. Rinna is smirking. She's just so pleased with herself. And then she tells Kyle that Kathy needs to do some soul searching or talk to somebody because she's not sure that things will get better. If anybody needs help, it's you. And don't sit here and act like Kyle is the innocent victim. If anything, Kyle, Kathy, and Kim all need to seek out some family counseling to sort through their issues and why there's this lingering anger and resentment between the three of them. That's what needs to happen. But y'all, this was a fantastic episode. Next week is the finale. It looks like it's about to be some more mess. But when I tell you that we are almost at the finish line, this season has worn me out. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I just raced a 10K marathon or something. Like, every episode has had me exhausted. But we are almost at the tail end, and I am prayerful that Lisa, Rinna, and Erika are fired because I cannot take this anymore. Those are two evil and soulless individuals, and they need to be off of our screens immediately. But again, thank you all so much for watching my recap. I hope you all enjoyed, and you guys already know what to do. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all later. Bye.